The Cardinals take on the Cubs Game 1. That's going to be a 2:20 p.m. Eastern first pitch in Game 1 of the doubleheader. St. Louis Cardinals are minus 150, totals 8.5. And if you like Chicago in an upset at home here, they're plus $1.25 for some money line cash. They're also minus 135, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Justin Steele's on the mound for Chicago. Jay Happ for the Cardinals. And despite a pretty rough day on my BrockPage.com website yesterday, we still managed to improve to 4-0 in our last four. $1.99 daily best plays on that page. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, it's only going to cost you just $1.99. We're also 4-0 in our last four Underdog tier package picks on that very same website. And the good news is we have another Underdog tier package pick going off here this evening. We currently have over 825 members who are signed up and active on my website. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on that site. And once again, that's BrockPage.com. Now, the Cubs' Justin Steele has just 3 wins on the season, 4.20 ERA and a 1.40 whip. The Cubs have lost 9 out of their last 11, and their lineup strikes out more times a game at the plate than any other team in the majors. They're taking on a red-hot Cardinals club who simply can't lose right now. St. Louis is currently on a 12-game winning streak, and their pitching staff allows just 7.5 hits a game. Now, Jay Happ's just 1 victory shy of double-digit wins on the season. The lefties also struck out 109 batters. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Cubs are 19-16 to the under in their divisional contests at Wrigley. I'm going to lean toward the St. Louis Cardinals minus 150 and the under 8.5 runs in Game 1. Next ball game, Pirates versus the Phillies, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. Philadelphia's minus 230, numbers 8.5. Kyle Gibson for Philadelphia, Sam Howard for Pittsburgh. Now, Howard's just 3-4 in the year with a 5.80 ERA and a 1.49 whip. The last place Pirates have the second fewest wins in the National League, and they're dead last in the majors in scoring on average per game. They're taking on a Phillies team who's on a 3-game winning streak, and they also got the W in 7 out of their last 9. This Phillies lineup is in the top 10 in scoring. Bryce Harper is currently leading the majors with a 1.050 OPS. The multi-time All-Star is batting .312 with 33 home runs and 80 RBI. When it comes to the total in this one, Pittsburgh's gone 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 4-2 to the over in their last 6 on the road. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia Phillies minus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next contest, Rangers-Orioles, 7:05 Eastern start time. The Texas Rangers are minus $1.20, totals 9. Spencer Howard for Texas, Alex Wells for Baltimore. The O's have won 2 out of their last 4 ball games. Victories over the Phillies and Texas during that stretch. As a matter of fact, the O's have given up just 7 total runs in their last 4 ball games. Meanwhile, offensively, Baltimore's currently in the top 10 in home hits per game. Cedric Mullins is batting an even .300 on the season, along with 29 home runs. They're taking on a last-place Rangers club who has the fewest road wins in the American League. They're winning just 28% of their contests when they bat first. Spencer Howard's also taking the mound for Texas. He's 0-4 with his new ball club, 6.86 ERA and a 1.57 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, Texas has gone 44-34 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, Baltimore is 43-32 to the over at Camden Yards. I'm going to lean toward the Baltimore Orioles plus $1 in the over 9. Next ball game, it is going to be Royals versus the Tigers, 7:10 Eastern start. Kansas City's minus $1.20, totals 8.5. Carlos Hernandez for the Royals, Casey Mize for Detroit. And Mize comes into today's start with a 3.64 ERA and a 1.14 whip. The righties also struck out 111 batters. Detroit's got a winning record at Comerica Park this year, and they also got the W in 7 out of their last 9 ball games. They're taking on a Royals club who dropped 5 out of their last 8 themselves, and they win only 42% of their road games. The Royals are in the bottom 10 in road scoring, and they rank dead last in the league in offensive walks at the plate. Despite some really good outings out of Carlos Hernandez, the righty still comes into today's contest with a 1.30 whip. Now, total-wise, the Royals went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 ball games, 3-1 to the under in their last 4 on the road. Meanwhile, the Tigers saw 8 out of their last 10 ball games stay under the line themselves, 5-1 to the under in their last 6 at Comerica Park. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers plus $1 and the under 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be White Sox versus the Indians, 7:10 East. The Chicago White Sox are minus $1.20, totals 8. Dylan Cease for Chicago, Shane Bieber for Cleveland. Despite a fairly good year for the Biebs, Cleveland still finds themselves with a losing record at Progressive Field. The Indians also struggled at the plate, ranking in the bottom 10 in hits per game. They're taking on a first-place Chicago team who actually strikes out 9.9 batters a game. Dylan Cease is 12-7 with 212 strikeouts on the year. When it comes to the total on this one, 4 out of the White Sox last 7 road games fell under the line. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus $1.20 and the under 8 runs. Next ball game, Marlins Rays, 7:10 Eastern start time. The Tampa Bay Rays are minus 265, totals 8.5. David Robertson for Tampa Bay. Edward Cabrera for Miami. Now Cabrera's 0-2 with a 5.31 ERA and a 1.62 whip. The Marlins are 24 games below 500, and they win just 32% of their road games. They're taking on a first-place Rays club who allows only 3.2 runs per contest at Tropicana Field. They're also in the top 3 in the majors in scoring. Brandon Lowe's hit 34 home runs and knocked in 86. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 8th in the majors with 103 RBI. Now, total-wise, 8 out of Tampa's last 10 ball games fell under the line, 5-2 to the under in their last 7 at home. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next contest, Yankees Red Sox, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The New York Yankees are minus 120, totals 9. Garrett Cole for New York, Nathan Eovaldi for Boston. Eovaldi's got double-digit victories on the year, 3.58 ERA and a 1.17 whip. The righties also struck out 188 batters. And when it comes to the hitting in this one, Boston is currently leading the majors in home scoring. Rafael Devers hit 34 home runs and knocked in 105. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts is currently batting .304. They're taking on a Yankees club who's got a losing record against AL East opponents. New York's currently just 30-37 in their divisional contests. And their lineup's in the bottom 10 in the majors in hits on average per game. Now, total-wise, the Sox went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 ball games. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox plus $1 in the over 9. Next ball game, Nationals versus the Reds, 7:10 Eastern start. The Cincinnati Reds are minus 185, totals 8.5. Sonny Gray for Cincinnati, Paolo Espino for Washington. Espino's got a 3.94 ERA and a 1.20 whip. The Washington Nationals are on a 3-game winning streak, and they're also in the top 3 in road hits. Juan Soto's leading the majors with a 325 batting average. The outfielder is also second in the bigs with a 1.029 OPS. They're taking on a Cincy team who lost 7 out of their last 10. The Cincinnati pitching staff also walks more batters per 9 than any other team in the majors. Sonny Gray comes into today's ball game with a 7-8 record. When it comes to the total in this one, the Reds are 43-34 to the over at the Great American Ballpark. Meanwhile, Washington saw 3 out of their last 4 road games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward The Washington Nationals plus 1.5. And the over 8.5 runs. Next contest, Blue Jays Twins, 8:10 p.m. East. Toronto's minus 145, numbers 8.5. Jose Barrios for Toronto, Bailey Ober for Minnesota. Ober's just 2-3 with a 4.34 ERA. The last place Twins have a losing record at Target Field. And their pitching staff's in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. They're taking on a Toronto team who's in the top 3 in scoring on average per game. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is batting .322 with 46 home runs and 105 RBI. Now Vlad's actually leading the league in home runs. And he ranks in the top 5 in batting average, OPS, and RBI. Toronto also has Jose Barrios on the bump here tonight. He's 7-5 with a 3.48 ERA and a 1.04 whip. The righties fanned 126 batters. Now, total-wise, Minnesota went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays minus 145 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Giants versus the Rockies, 8:10 East. San Francisco's minus 195, totals 12. Alex Wood for the Giants, Peter Lambert for Colorado. Lambert's making his Rockies debut here this evening. And I'll tell you what, Colorado could sure use the help. This Colorado pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in the majors and striking batters out at home. They're taking on a first-place Giants club who's got the best record in baseball, and they allow only 3.5 runs a game on the road. Alex Wood is 10-4 with a 3.99 ERA and a 1.20 whip. The lefty struck out 139 batters. When it comes to the total on this one, the Giants went 3-0 to the over in their last 3 ball games. Colorado saw 2 out of their last 3 at Coors Field get over the line. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants minus 1.5 and the over 12. Next matchup, Mets Brewers, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers are minus 140, totals 8. Eric Lauer for Milwaukee, Tyler McGill for New York. McGill's just 3-5 on the year with a 4.57 ERA and a 1.29 whip. The Mets are in the bottom 3 in the majors in scoring on average per game. They're taking on a first-place Milwaukee club who leads the majors in striking batters out. As a matter of fact, this Milwaukee pitching staff is holding their opponents to just 3.8 runs a game. Eric Lauer's 6-5 with a 3.03 ERA and a 1.14 whip. The lefty struck out 105 batters. When it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Milwaukee's last 7 home games got over the number. The Mets are also 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers minus 140 in the over 8. Next matchup, Mariners Angels, 9:38 East. Seattle's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Logan Gilbert for Seattle, Jose Suarez for LA. Now the lefty Suarez is just 7-8 on the season with a 1.25 whip. The Angels have lost 6 out of their last 7, and they struggled with pitching all season long. Their pitching staff walks more batters at home than any other team in the Bigs. They're taking on a Mariners club who's on a 5-game winning streak. They also find themselves 14 games above 500. The Mariners are in the top 10 in fewest walks allowed per 9. Logan Gilbert's 6-5 with a 1.17 whip and 120 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, Seattle's 45-32 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, the Angels went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Seattle Mariners minus $1.25 in the over 8.5. Next contest, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The LA Dodgers are minus 225, totals 10. Tony Gonsolin for Los Angeles. Humberto Castellanos for Arizona. Castellanos has a 4.11 ERA and a 1.31 whip. The last place Diamondbacks are tied for the worst record in Major League Baseball. They're taking on a Dodger club who actually leads the league in fewest hits allowed per contest. This Dodger pitching staff gives up just 3.4 runs per game. Tony Gonsolin's 3-1 on the season with a 2.93 ERA. When it comes to the total in this one, Los Angeles is 42-36 to the under when they travel. Give me the LA Dodgers -1.5 and the under 10 runs. Next contest, Astros A's 9:40 Eastern start time. Oakland's -120, totals 8 flat. Frankie Montas for Oakland, Zach Greinke for Houston. Greinke's 11-6 with a 1.17 whip. The righties also struck out 117 batters. The first place Astros have arguably the best lineup in the league. They're currently leading the majors in scoring on average per game. Yuli Gurriel is batting .317. He's in the top 5 in the majors in that category. Meanwhile, Yordan Alvarez has hit 32 home runs and knocked in 101. Alvarez is in the top 15 in that RBI category. They're taking on an Oakland club who does not play their best baseball at home. As a matter of fact, this Oakland lineup is in the bottom 3 in the league in home hits. When it comes to the number in this one, Oakland went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Houston. Meanwhile, the Astros are 6-1 to the over in their last 7 on the road. Give me Houston plus $1 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Braves versus the Padres, 10:10 Eastern start time. The Atlanta Braves are -140, totals 8.5. Max Fried for Atlanta, no confirmed starter yet for the Pods. San Diego's dropped 7 out of their last 10 ball games. They've also averaged just 3.1 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Atlanta. And speaking of the first place Braves, they won 4 out of their last 5 ball games themselves. Atlanta currently plays their best baseball on the road, and they allow only 3.7 runs a game when they travel. Max Fried is 12-7 on the year with a .331 ERA and a 1.16 whip. The big lefty also has 148 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, the Braves went 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. Atlanta's also 45-33 to the under in all of their road games. Give me the Atlanta Braves -140 and the under 8.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 4-0 in our last 4 $1.99 daily best plays on that site. I like St. Louis -150, under 8.5 in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Philadelphia -1.5, over 8 and a hook. Baltimore plus $1, over 9 runs. Detroit plus $1, under 8.5. Chicago White Sox -120, under 8 runs. Tampa Bay -1.5, under 8 and a hook. Boston plus $1, over 9 runs. Washington plus 1.5, over 8 and a hook. I'm also leaning toward Toronto -145, over 8.5. San Francisco -1.5, over 12 runs. Milwaukee -140, over 8. Seattle Mariners -1.25, over 8.5. I'm also leaning toward the Dodgers -1.5, under 10 runs. Houston plus $1, over 8. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 4-0 in our last 4 $1.99 daily best plays on my brockpage.com website. We're also 4-0 in our last 4 Underdog tier package picks on that very same website as well. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves -140 and the under 8.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to come from our YouTube platform. And that shout out of the day, that's going to go to CT Scott, who said yesterday, "I love you, Brock. You saved me so hard. I made $650 off of $5. Thank you, Brock. You're the man." And thank you, CT Scott. I appreciate that. And it was a good comment. It was a good comment. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So once again, if you do end up getting a membership here today, you are going to get access to that content through the end of September. And then if you continue to opt in, you'll get billed again on October 1st. I do always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.